How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. We're up for a big one tonight. Obviously, the results wasn't what it was meant out to be, but we're here live with Gary and Mick. So Mick's coming from the old good Drogheda, and Gary's coming from Glasgow as well. So obviously, we're gonna have loads of comments tonight. So we start off with the game. Michael, where did it go wrong?
I don't know. You look at it at the start, and it got off to a great start. Like in fairness, like Edward's goal was fantastic. He just looked like he was back to his best. Take a dribble around to a great finish at the end. And then the thing I took most about the goal was just the fist bump and roaring. Like it looked happy days. Like something that we haven't seen for a while. Like a bit of pride, bit of want. But then just all of a sudden, the defensive errors all over again. The corner, unbelievable. Bain, I think, is a fault for that one. The second one as well. It's just Julian not marked the back, or is it El Hammond not marked the back post? And then look, we saw what happened at the end. They caught us in the break when we were huffing and puffing.
Do you know what? Scott Bain, like, he just was a shambles tonight. He could have saved that goal, but the only thing I could say positive about tonight was Edward scored and Julian got a bit of game, a bit of football. The rest of it
I
was
don't know how you can take positives from that, to be honest.
the rest of it was an absolute shambles. You know what? Like everybody, before tonight, I'd say it was like 70% people wanted Neil Lennon to go. It has to be at 90% now. You'll still get these.
Says more than 90.
I say you still get these people like, oh, have the faith. It wasn't a league game. Have the faith. Have the faith. Enough's enough, and that's it. That's it. I know I'm quick to change my response last night, and I know people watched the pod last night. But why? What's going forward with Celtic? We're going backwards. 21 goals in 9 games.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to talk about the game too much tonight, to be honest, Keith. I haven't got a whole lot of points to say in the game. Other than that's complete. I have a lot more things to say outside of the game, to be honest. Unless Gaz wants to throw a few points in the game.
Gaz, what do you think of
that? Basically, just to echo what Mick was saying, great goal for Edwards in terms of it looked like he was back to his best a lot of the times tonight. Taking on the defenders, turning, swivelling, great shot in at the bottom corner, and you felt like, right, this could be the start of something new. Let's build on it, and we should have pressed them higher because they are not that great a side. We made them look good at Celtic Park a few weeks ago, and we made them look good tonight again. I thought for long spells in the game, I thought we dominated without actually really creating anything. And I just think a wee bit more clinical up front. I think it could have been a different scoreline tonight.
Was it a 64 minute Edward got handed on the plate? All he had to do was tap him a bit of passion.
Chance you would have put your house on Edward in that position.
Do you think Laxall looked a bit weak tonight? First time we had a bad game out of Laxall.
No, do you know what? I actually thought it was. I mean, it went through the walls tonight in terms of he really put his body in the line at times tonight, and obviously it was a bad challenge on his ankle. A couple of times he took a couple of sore ones. I just think he needs to release the ball quicker. Sometimes that's the only really thing I can say about him. Mm-hmm. But just in terms of like defending, defending's let us down tonight again. In terms of Henko's goal in the 26th minute, Julius's goal in the 38th minute, Bruni and Kalmat. Bruni gets kind of, I don't know if he misjudges the flight of the ball or whether or not he just gets bullied off the ball. But, in commentary they're saying Callum McGregor's at fault for the goal because he doesn't get out quick enough to play the offside trap. And I'm saying, wait a minute, there's three Sparta Prague players standing themselves. So instead of having a go at Callum McGregor, why no have a go at the defenders that was meant to be marking him? Do you know what I mean?
Did you see when the fourth goal went in, Callum McGregor just looked at Bain like...
I don't get what Callum McGregor's got today with the fourth goal. Do you know what I mean?
He should have been now.
Listen, it's one of them. In my opinion, I think he comes out. If he misses the ball, he's got to take the player. Even if he gets sent off, he's got to take the player. and avoid the goal. Do you know
I
what I mean?
agree.
I don't think Callum McGregor can be blamed for the fourth goal. I think Scott Bain. I was more disappointed at Scott Bain kind of jogging back, rather than racing back to try and stop the goal.
Hold on, I just want to get rid of this gobshite. Like a Hun on a Celtic page, he must think he has his microwave popcorn out. Unbelievable. Right, let's go into this comments, right? I'm going to go into Mick in a second. Quevian said Barnes and Mowbray's record in their last 9 games, and he got sacked. To be honest, Celtic Fan TV made a great point tonight. Paul and the team over there made a great point. If this was any other manager, they would have been gone. Is it just a case because Neil Lennon, he's been at the club for 20 years, we idolise what he done the first time around, he's getting away with absolute murder. Is it, Mick?
There's more things you have to look at in that point. I think he's a club man. He's a yes man. Like there's a thing. I have to agree with what Keevan said as well. I have it written down here in front of me, more as the stats as well. What he said. Like, look at the last 9 games: 2 wins, 4 losses, 3 draws, 21 goals against. Embarrassed at home against Rangers, not having a shot on target. Embarrassed against a second string team against Prague, 4-1 at home. And you see Lennon as well. He was asked. One of the lads made a point. Ferencváros as well, but he was made a point tonight. One of the reporters asked him, "Is this a bit of a revenge for what happened a couple of weeks ago?" And Lennon said, more or less said, "Not really." I goes, embarrassed 4-1 at home against a second string team that hadn't played together, and 4-1. It should be a revenge thing. You want to be going out there and fucking embarrassing them, trying to fucking make amends for that, but it didn't happen. But there's other points there to be looked at as well. No manager in Celtic history would have lasted. Barnes and Dalglish is an absolute fucking perfect is a perfect analogy on that one. Like, but you see as well with the backroom staff, I think there's a lot of problems there. John Kennedy, he's I don't know what he's doing there. He's not even backing Lennon. He's sitting on the bench. He looks bewildered. Like, do we owe him too much? I don't think so.
John Paul Boyce made a great point on his podcast saying, when you see John Kennedy just sitting there, it's over to you, Lennon. Like what's going on? There has to be something going on.
He's not even doing that. He's just sitting there. You never see him up kind of backing himself. Like Lennon at the first half, he was brilliant. You could hear him shouting orders to the team. He looked like the Lennon of old. What's something we haven't seen all season. And then all of a sudden, the second half, he just in the 81st minute, he just didn't know what to do. He had no support from his backroom staff. And I think one of the boys made a great point on one of the other podcasts. He said, "I wouldn't be half surprised to see John Kennedy lead the team against Ross County on Sunday." I don't want to. I think he has to go. I think Ferguson cleared every backroom staff as well every 3 or 4 years, keeping it fresh, and hasn't been done with Celtic. It has to be done now.
Do you know what I was thinking literally before I came into this? I wouldn't be surprised he still has a job on Sunday, and it become a case if we were to lose on Sunday, it won't be sack the manager, it'd be sack the board. It'd be getting to that stage. I know it's not a big game. And see these people that I keep saying, like I did say last night before this game, yeah, we get beaten tomorrow. It's not going to mean that much, but it's the way they got beaten tonight is a massive statement that a change needs to be done. And
it takes a bigger man. It takes a bigger man to make a decision, and right now we haven't got a bigger man to make a decision. The board want to back Neil Lennon, and because that board is never going to be touched because they're eating Darren Desmond's asshole. They're making him money. They're saving him money, and they are not going to fucking do anything. He's not going to do anything about that. The last time he did something was when we got embarrassed at Hampden Park against Rangers, and that's happening right now, and they're not going to do anything.
Do you know what? It's like having a string of FA Ambroses at the back of this, right? It literally is. As much as it's an absolute disaster. Like, what?
We thought Duffy was the problem.
The whole defence.
What did you guys think of the Julian bit back tonight?
He was rusty as hell. You know, like, do you think he could have made better for the second goal for that cross, though?
I think you're looking more at Ayer, aren't you? I think you're looking more at Ayer's got to cut it out.
You're looking at more McGregor should be pressing on that lad on.
No, guys, I just have to ask you something on McGregor. Like for weeks now, I've been saying to Keith about McGregor. I think he's the most luckiest player. He's got players around and making him look good, and I think he's hiding out there the whole time. And he's getting found out eventually. And like even he's playing with Scotland, he's got decent players around him, and he's getting done the whole time. There, I think he's done. I think he's a shit player, and he shouldn't be wearing fucking Celtic jersey. Never mind the captain's armband. So just whatever you think of that one.
No, I totally disagree. I'm a massive Callum McGregor fan. I call him out when he's had a bad game, but I genuinely, and I think he was poor tonight. But at the end of the day, to blame him for certain goals, like Sparta Prague second, when the ball goes in the 6-yard box and Scott Bain, Christopher Ayer and Christopher Julian all don't make contact with the ball. I think you should be pinpointing the blame onto them, and especially Christopher Ayer, because he's been in the team more than Julian.
Yeah, I think my own opinion of McGregor, I think Christie has showed more fight than McGregor this season in all games he's played. I think McGregor's best game was against Hibs at home, and then the Serbia game for Scotland. All season he hasn't turned up for Celtic in Scotland, besides them 2 games. I don't know what's going on.
Who Christie? I think to be honest, Christie's a battler, and you'll always get a fight out of him on the park. I think there's elements of his game that lets him down, like his distribution, his set pieces in terms of taking corners. I think his delivery could be a lot better, but in terms of what you get out of him, I think you get a shift out of him every single game, and I believe that with McGregor as well. I believe that
folks, I just
Callum
want to say,
McGregor would run through brick walls for Celtic in Scotland. So
I appreciate you watching from Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. I will be getting through your comments. I'm not forgetting about you. So, are we all on the fence at the moment that Neil needs to walk? Are we all agreeing this one?
I can't see any way back from this one. And we look at a point that Chris Sutton made. Chris Sutton, right, just before we go on, before I make my point about what he said, he's one of his biggest backers. He's obviously his mate, but you look what he used to say to Pedro and other boys. You can't win so many games in a row. You shouldn't be there. You're not doing a great job. Lennon's done the exact same thing, and Sutton was backing him for so long. But Sutton said there tonight he can't see a way back for Lennon after this tonight. So finally, he might be if he's finally seeing sense, then brilliant, happy days. There's one of his biggest supporters is torn against him. I just want to say about the Green Brigade.
By the way, if you're on Facebook, drop a share.
Say about the Green Brigade though, with their banner yesterday. Sorry, guys, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, when you look at Sutton with when Ronnie Dyler was in charge, and it was constantly week in week out, it was pounding the manager. It was absolutely demoralising the guy, and he hasn't really been like that with Lennon, and obviously because the teammates for years, pals for years, and all the rest of it, and now maybe he's starting to kind of. Big Sutton knows the game, and he knows that Celtic is not good enough. But in terms of he's not going to come out publicly and slate Neil Lennon. He might say there's things wrong, and he might blame the board, but he's never going to blame Neil Lennon. It's getting harder week in, week out to defend keeping Neil Lennon in charge of Celtic. But as I said to Keith the other night, there's no guarantee we're bringing in a new manager that it's going to work, because a new manager, whether it's a big name like Eddie Howe or Benitez, or whether it's somebody like Gordon Strachan or whoever, Martin O'Neill or John Collins or whoever it is.
Just on that point there, I'm just going to say about the new manager coming in. Now is a perfect time for a new manager to come in. Okay, the next 6 games in the league, right, they're against the lower half of the division. It should, even no matter what,
we're not guaranteeing we're going to win.
But we should be winning them games, Keith, right? But I'm saying this would be a perfect time for a new manager to come in, okay? But when I say new management, I don't mean the likes of Martin O'Neill, Roy Keane, Strachan, fucking Ronnie Doyle, and Mowbray, whatever. It has to be a fucking name.
Celtic woods.
And as much as this team, as spineless as it was for Rodgers, the way he left, he put some fucking mark in that team. And I hate to say it, he left a serious mark in that team, and he set the bar, and we've gone nothing but back. Rangers have met that bar that Rodgers set, and we haven't stepped up to the last season and a half.
One of the vloggers said today, John Paul Dyke said it today, and I won't be surprised, to be honest with you, as much as I hate saying this, and they're at that level now, they're looking invincible. The Huns are looking invincible this season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to look at that in that stage because, yeah, they dropped points against Livy at the start of the season, but we're just causing errors upon errors. Like, even attacking wise, we just don't look clinical. There's no, when you mentioned back to Edward's goal tonight, the majority of the team weren't even over celebrating one.
But the thing is about them as well, they're not doing it in a bad way. They're doing it in a way that a football team would like to be doing it. They're winning games properly. They're winning it cleanly. They're not doing it with dodgy decisions. Like, they got a million penalties a couple of seasons ago, but they're doing it right. They're playing every game like 0-0. We're not doing that. They're playing like they want to win. And Jared has done a fantastic job, as much as I hate to fucking say it, and it's killing me to fucking say it.
My dilemma is, right, if Lennon goes the weekend, people keep saying Martin O'Neill. I would not go near Martin O'Neill. The reason why is because, for example, we're all going to say this person that comes in has to stir the ship and get us 10. What if Martin O'Neill comes in and we drop points straight away for the first 2 games? What's going to happen then? We'll look like we're going backwards then bringing someone forwards.
Exactly. What if you bring Eddie Howe in at the weekend? What if you bring Benitez in? What if you're going to pay these guys? You're going to pay these guys an absolute fortune like you did with Brendan Rodgers, and there's no guarantee that it's going to work. So, when you look at the bad old days of getting beat off for Rangers in the Scottish Cup semi-final under Ronnie Dyler, and it felt like a lowest moment. It felt like the lowest we could go. They were in the lower leagues of Scottish football. We lost in penalties in the Scottish Cup semi-final, and we genuinely thought, where do we go for here?
They
both acted, and they went and got somebody like Brendan Rodgers, and for long enough I could not believe that Brendan Rodgers was at our club. I was so happy and so relieved, and obviously we had the glory years. But then now when you look at it, you're never going to go higher than Brendan Rodgers in terms of names. In terms of names,
as I said, it's selling the product to the person, selling to the customer, and is regardless. It's 10 in a row, and they might say, "Oh, you're the champions," but we have a gap to catch up on, and that's the facts. We're a games in hand. We're still 5 points behind them, and tonight, getting beat. Like, let's go back to when the Europa League draw was made. Let's be realistic. The three of us agree that we're going to look like we're going to be Sparta Prague home and away?
I think that you looked at the Sparta Prague games and you thought that was going to be maybe like the Rennes or the Cluj games for last year. But obviously, it's just, listen, I didn't give us a chance in the group. And I didn't really give us a chance in last year's group either. But at the end of the day, we've no performed. And week in, week out, we just look as if we're shitting goals every single week now. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes 2 in a game, 3 in a game.
It's not like a 20-year-old, I was going to say a 20-yard cracker that's going actually banging into the goal, like the Levy goal. It's self-inflicted defensive errors that's causing. Make me back in a second. I'll send them an invite to get us back in. But what is going on? Like, what is going on with the club? As I said, the best thing that we could do right now at this moment is get rid of Neil. Get rid of him. As much as I said last night, swing it till Christmas. But the way we get beaten tonight, it's not even a 2-1. It's the defense is a shambles. Kennedy's meant to be a defensive coach, and he has done nothing but garbage this season. He doesn't want to be at the club. I just think he's there for the wage. That's it. Not for the ambition.
We were playing so high in that second half that's why we've lost the 2 goals, because we had all of the defenders up. Do you know what I mean? That's where we went wrong. Because if you let maybe Ilhamid or Ayer or Julian, we've got 3 of the biggest defenders probably in Scottish football in that team tonight. And if you let 1 or 2 of them drop off, then potentially you stop them scoring another 2 goals. But at the end of the day, they were playing so far up that you're just like, it was so difficult to defend against, and it was just long balls up. It was just long balls forward. So, as I say, I think we made them look better than what they were, to be honest.
Mick, what do you think? What needs to be brought in January besides the manager? What needs to change at the back?
Well, defence is obviously the main protocol here at the moment, because nothing's going on at all. I honestly I don't know what's going to fix. Like, motivation is what we need for starters. We need an injection into the club. Whether you get a new manager in, whether we get some sort of attraction, because nothing's going to be attracted to that at the moment. I nearly get like the youths in, the reserves in, because they might play with a little bit more heart at the moment, but it's just not fucking happening for us at the moment. I don't even think we can look at January, to be honest, because we've got a bigger thing to worry about before January. We've got 6 games there, and then that's leading into another All Firm.
So Michael Lewis says, sad to say it's coming to this. Lennon deserves respect, but he has to go. He has to go. We need to move forward. We need to change it. I think a lot of the older, the older based Celtic fans that obviously went through the 90s, like Gaz and stuff, like yourself, Mick, understand, we can't win everything, but we're on a stage where this is the biggest season in our history besides 67. Yeah. We need to get there. We need the right things in place. And it's not a case that Lennon says a sticky patch. Usually football teams go through a 4 or 5 game sticky patch. This is now nearly double figures. Double figures.
Yeah.
21 goals.
Just
2 wins and 9 games.
The Green Brigade banner. 2 wins, 4 losses and 3 draws. 21 goals conceded. I think there was like about 12 scored. But just have to say about the Green Brigade banner there yesterday outside Celtic Park. Like they're saying that they're speaking for the fans. I don't think they're speaking for the fans. They're speaking for themselves. They're definitely not speaking for me. But the thing is, they do have a point. I don't think there was malice in what they said. Like Lennon, I think, is still a hero, but his legacy is definitely diminishing very, very quickly. The longer he stays there and this goes on, it'd be like, if that was Henrik Larsson, it'd be the exact same thing in my mind. So I think we have to look at it that way.
See these fans that believe that Pochettino and Benitez, like I can think Benitez, we could get realistically, we got the checkbook out. But I think people are living people think that Celtic are like a Premier League stature club. We're not. We have been in the Champions League for the last 3 years. We can't even compete in European level this season. We get beaten by Ferencváros, Hungarian team. Yes, they did get into the Champions League, fair enough, but we're absolutely poisoned this season, and it's down to the management. It's down to the players that don't believe in this philosophy of football that Neil Lennon's presented them to Lennoxtown on a day basis. So we were going back in September and saying, okay, this is actually a pretty good transfer window. We got Laxall in last minute. We got Duffy, and we were crying for Duffy to come in, crying for him to come in. We were crying for a new keeper.
Well, some of us were crying for Duffy to come in.
I was crying for Duffy.
Some of us were crying for Duffy to come in. I wasn't that bothered, but no, I totally agree with you. And listen, at the end of the day, this was the same coaching team and pretty much the same first team that, done so well last season, that were playing so well last season, were playing an exciting brand of football that had the fans exciting. And I know the fans were in the stadium, and that was maybe the difference. But at the end of the day, we're still 90 minutes away from doing a treble for last season.
Yes, I'm gonna laugh at this. I was thinking about this today. I was gonna mention on one of the podcasts I was watching. I think half our team are in self-quarantine. I think that half of them are still in lockdown since the first lockdown because they haven't turned up for the games. They haven't. That's how bad it's getting. Like
you also looked at it, but you look away. But sorry, you guys, I keep cutting you across. We look this time last year. We were saying how good a time it is to be a Celtic fan. I'm not saying that now at the moment. No matter, as you said, we could about to say about 90 minutes away from a quadruple treble.
There's nearly 200 people watching, and I know there's a couple of fans in here. Look, we're all Celtic fans. We all love this badge. We all love the history of the club. We all love and believing that we can win, we can get ambition, we can get there. But I'm asking the fans that actually, the small percentage of the fans right now that believe that Neil Lennon is the man, that percentage of fans, what can you take positive from this season that believes that you think Neil Lennon is right? Not from his interviews, but what you've seen on the sidelines and what you've seen. People have struggled to come up with the best game this season for Celtic. How many games are we in now? Are we 16 games into the season?
13 or something. 13.
Like with European and cups and stuff.
Oh no, I don't know about European.
There's probably about 25.
25 to go in the league, but
and we're struggling to pick up a game that we've actually like what's it going to be like at the end of this season with a DVD? What's it going to be like? Lenny's great is Ollie at the wheel moments. Is it going to be that? Is it going to be that bad? Like, because that's what it's going.
Just have a DVD of The Great Escape if we manage to win 10 in a row.
Look, as I said to Gas the other day, if we can turn this around, the majority of people can say it can be turned around. It's possible. As I said
Look,
last night,
I'm going to say, Keith, if we don't have a new management team, and I'm going to say management, I say the whole lot of them. I say we don't have a new management team, and next week I'm conceding 10 in a row, and that's my brutal opinion. And I'm sorry to say it, but I just can't see anywhere else going.
no, I'll have. I'm not going to say I have the faith in Lennon. I'll have the faith in the team, the individuals that we have on that pitch to do 10 until if we get beaten at Ibrox, I will throw the towel in. And you know what? The shit I'm getting and walk over it. All the boys, they're all Man United fans. You don't understand the concept of Celtic. They just keep having a laugh and a bit of banter saying Rangers this, Rangers that, having a laugh. But it's getting to the stage where, fuck me, I'm dreading May. Because we're looking at this stuff tonight. We're looking at Hibs the weekend, and he's saying that was a really good performance in the last 20 minutes. But hold on a second, Neil.
I think we kind of want to see May stay as far away as possible. So we want to, if May doesn't come for the next fucking 2 years, it'll be get things going. That'll suit me, but it's coming too quick in my mind.
This is the difference between us and another team that are on top of the table. They are ambitious. They want to win that league more than they want to stop us. That's how we feel. I just think they're playing. Yeah. They're calm, and we're not calm. It's panic stations. Some fans, out of 10, how paranoid, how panicky I'm out of 10 about. I'd say an 8 out of 10 at the moment. I still have a small belief that it's going to be all changed around. As I said, go to January, 2nd of January. We'll talk then. What do you think, guys?
I would still be confident enough that we are still going to be celebrating in May. I genuinely believe that. 25 games to go, it's still possible. We've got the 2 games in hand, 3 obviously when we play the cup final. But if you can win the games in hand, you get the gap down to 5 points again. And you're forgetting, they've not had an injury yet. They've not had a slump yet. Do you know what I mean? And it will come. They will get a slump. Someday, well, it will not be like... It might not be like an Aberdeen or a Dundee United or whoever. Somebody you might be expecting to beat them or draw with them. It will be somebody like St Johnstone or in a Wednesday night at Ibrox. Do you know what I mean? It will be just one of the games that they're expecting to win at home that they might drop points.
Hamilton.
It could be Hamilton. Do you know what I mean? Listen, at the end of the day, I still think there's enough games for us to go and win 10. And I genuinely believe that we just need to stick together. And the next 2 weeks is crucial.
But when you say stick together, do you mean as fans or you stick by the manager?
Everybody, because
you stick by Neil Lennon.
This is the thing, right? This is the thing. All I'm seeing in the last maybe month or so is constantly on social media
negativity,
fans protesting, fans shouting about getting Neil Lennon out. Green Brigade turning up at Celtic Park with banners. And do you know what? As I said to you the other night, we are playing into that mob's hands. We are playing into their hands. They are pushing themselves, laughing at us. And that's why we can't turn against each other. That's why we've got to all stick together and all pull in the same direction. Because at the end of the day, whatever happens, happens. Obviously, we were talking about the 90s a few minutes ago. Do you know what I mean? I can remember Celtic went 6 years without a trophy, and we struggled to beat Airdrie in the Scottish Cup final to win our first trophy. Do you know what I mean? And I think the fans are getting tetchy because they can't get into the ground. They feel they can't sway the games. They feel they can't turn the games by being there. And obviously we're miles off of that. We're not going to get anywhere near that probably this season. But they've just got to believe in a couple of minutes as well. Team. They've got to believe in the team.
Someone said the Green Brigade are legends. Look, the Green Brigade has done a lot regards to fan-wise, banners, field banks. I've discussed this last night, but it doesn't. The Green Brigade don't represent every Celtic fan. You got to know that. Mm-hmm. They don't represent me. They don't represent Michael. They don't represent you. People have mixed opinions about a portion of fans, and to some people's reputation, they see the Green Brigade as they're an own group. They don't care about anyone else. They just want to voice their opinion. I think they're a phenomenal set of people. What they do, they do some mental work, as I said, but there is a point where I turn around and say, here, that's a fuck enough, and that's enough, you know.
There is that element to them. I can remember we were at the Scott Brown
But
game.
the protest is not necessary. The banner, understand, yes, they are voiced their opinion. Like every fan deserves to voice their opinion, 100%. I don't agree. I don't agree with the statement. I don't agree with saying that whoever, if we don't get 10 in a row, they're considered accountable for this. But hold on. So what about the previous managers that have won us 11 trophies? Are they accountable for success? So if one trophy goes wrong this season, this person should have their head hanged up in the middle of Glasgow. Is that what it is? Like as Gaz says there, we went years without success. You should be just proud to put the jersey on.
I think obviously when you look at when we were at the Scott Brown testimonial game a couple of years ago, and you know, we were obviously next to the Green Brigade, or where the Green Brigade would sit, kind of thing. And I can remember one of them at the end of the game. The players went round with the trophies, and we were all clamouring to get photos of them. And I can remember this absolute bam. This I take it was in the Green Brigade shouting about to get out the way because he's in the Green Brigade and he should get like in front to get the best photo. And I'm like, fucking grow up, seriously. I think they do as good as they do bad, but the bad stuff sometimes outweighs the good
like
stuff.
Like every human being, you know, like they've done a lot. They go to every game. They're always there. They voice their opinion. They've done a great performance, obviously, up in Lennoxtown before the game against Rangers. They always wave the team off with these banners. They put a lot of effort into what they do, but they don't speak for me. And my opinion is, they're right to say Lennon needs to go, yes, but at the same time, you don't put a protest
have a bit of respect.
A bit of pandemic. There's a pandemic going on. We're talking about public health here. I'm sorry, but my health's more important than fucking wearing this jersey, and that's the fact. That's the fact of the matter. I'm not in Glasgow, but my nanny's health is more important than fucking Glasgow Celtic. I know people strive off football, but we look at the bigger picture. It's only a sport. It's only a sport. As much as we think about 24/7, it's a sport. You can just try to forget about it and move on. But Lennon needs to walk. My opinion is Lennon needs to walk before it's too late. He needs to resign because he's taken the team this far. Yeah, he has success in the past, but it's not it's not improving. It's just going down and down and down this season.
So who do you think should come in and replace him?
Not Celtic related. No Gordon Strachan, no Martin O'Neill, because I think people are living on an old legacy. Hold on, Jesus. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, Mick.
Sorry, boys. The signal is terrible.
No, they were asking me a question here. What I think I should bring in. No Celtic related. No Gordon Strachan. No Martin O'Neill. No Henry Clarkson. No. If I was considering any Celtic related, my option would be Paul Lambert. If any Celtic related, that would be I personally think Lambert would be, but Lambert's not my number one choice. He'd be like my fifth or sixth choice down the order. So Eddie Howe.
I'd love to see Eddie Howe in there myself. I tipped him to be United manager there a couple of years ago. Obviously, I never got it. I think
tipped him to be Arsenal manager. When Wenger left.
I don't think it's attractive enough for him. I really don't think it is. But there were if we talk about likes of Benitez and Pochettino, forget about it. It's not going to happen. Absolutely forget about it. It's I'd love to see Michael O'Neill or something come up from Stoke or something. I'd love to see that, but he does a good thing going to Stoke there at the minute as well. But
I would have liked to have seen Michael O'Neill before, even before Rodgers came in. I was tipping Michael O'Neill to come in, but in terms of who I would bring in, I think, to be honest, it will be somebody like Gordon Strachan. But I would worry that Gordon Strachan we're now 12 years on to when he last won the title with Celtic. Has he still got that in him? Because, as I said to Keith the other night, if he still had that in him, I don't believe he would be a technical director at Dundee. With the greatest respect to Dundee, I think he'd still be managing or coaching somewhere. So I would wonder if he's still got it in him.
A few people are saying Jackie McNamara. No. That time when Neil Lennon left, that the first time I was saying Jackie McNamara should come in instead of Ronnie Doyle before Ronnie was put in the mix. No. How straight, which is people are saying, you're having a laugh at Paul Lambert, but Paul Lambert's got Norwich from League One to the Premier League. Yeah, Villa wasn't the greatest job, Blackburn wasn't the greatest job, but he's He's a good
Is he
manager.
still at Ipswich?
I don't even know if he's at Ipswich. People are saying Steve Clark. Let's wake up and smell a coffee. Steve Clark's
That's
not
not
going to leave.
happening.
Steve,
No.
why is he going to leave the Scotland fold to go to Celtic?
No chance.
The way I
Especially
see it is,
he's have to get in Scotland to their biggest ever thing
if
in
we're a
years.
big club going for the 10 in a row, we should be aiming big. Simple as that. Since we had a good transfer window, why are we not aiming big and a good manager?
Steve Clark, I don't think he'll ever go to Celtic. Or like he's made his points very, very clear about how he feels about the managing either of the all firm teams. And I don't think he ever will. Like so, I think his family's too more important to him than going to that. So,
Jack Ross, not a chance. He wouldn't even be in my top 5.
No, I think Jack Ross has done well with Hibs. But in terms of managing Celtic, no, I don't believe that's the road we should go down. As I say, I really don't have a name that I could throw in that I could think.
He's still at Ipswich, by the way. Thanks very much, Emery, for clarifying that.
But no, Paul Lambert wouldn't be my choice. I really don't know who I would bring in, to be honest.
I think you're much thinking there, guys, like as well. There's not really a name that we can think about. Everyone's throwing names. Every fan's throwing the main two names. Eddie Howe, Rapamita are the main two they're going.
Someone saying Boas at Marseille. He's not going to leave Marseille. I'll be honest with you. I think it's a fair whoever from an outsider, from a Celtic perspective, to come in and steer the ship if Lennon was to go.
The thing about a manager coming in as well, there's big fear there as well. If they come in now, they know what they have to deliver by the end of the season, and they know if they don't deliver, they're in serious trouble.
Aye, but that's my point. Do you know what I mean? If you pay a fortune to get a big name manager and he loses his first 2 or 3 games in the league, the party's over. The league's gone, and then you're left with a massive contract for a manager.
This is the type of fan. This is the type of person that thinks that Celtic can go out and just get like fucking anyone they want. Won't get Pochettino. He's waiting for a big job. Is he? Celtic is not a big job in his eyes. Why the hell would you go to Celtic and you don't have European
Scottish
football?
League isn't anything to a lot of managers down there, and especially somebody like Pochettino.
No, he'd be too much money as well. He'd be looking for a serious wage.
Turn this around for years end. I don't know about that now. Mick McCarthy's at Abel Nicosia, so he's not going to come to Celtic, by the way, folks. I know people said Chris Hughton as well, previous. Chris Hughton's at Nottingham Forest. Chris Hiddink is at a team that... Russian team, is it, Gaz?
Is that?
A Russian team, Gus Hiddink?
I think so, possibly. Somewhere like Russia, Qatar, or somewhere like that.
Right, folks, I'll let these two chat all the way while I get a refill and go for a quick pish. Keep the comments going. When I come back, I will be here pinning them. I appreciate the support tonight. Just keep sharing it. Subscribe to the channel if you're only new to it or whatever you're watching on. But we want to hear yours opinion anyway on this. Like, as I said, this has come to the stage where we need to forget about the result. We need to think about what's ahead.
Aye.
And before this game tonight, we're all thinking, well, what's ahead? I sent this podcast last night. Yes, I have a bit of faith that he can deliver until January. But looking at it, this keeps going on and on. How much faith can you have? My faith is literally about 5% at its rate. 5%. We need a manager change. We need to change just the manager. John Kennedy needs to walk. I keep calling Gary Strachan, but I know he's Gavin Strachan. I know people correct me so many times. Gavin Strachan needs to walk. And I just think it'd be a shambles if you bring Martin O'Neill back if he doesn't deliver. What do you think of that, Michael?
So Martin Neal and Roy Keane, like they're basically hand in hand at this stage. So they are as well. They're not. Neil's not going to go anywhere without Keane. They had a decent kind of setup with the Irish job as well. Like they got the team to European Championships, whatever. Like so. But after that, when they went to Notts Forest, the two of them couldn't work together. The fans wanted them out. If they come to Celtic, it's going to be people kind of banking on what they had what Neil had years ago. But Keane is just a time bomb. I think someone said he's a hand grenade as well earlier on. He absolutely pointless. As I say with Strachan as well, I don't think Strachan can do anything for the team. I don't think any former manager, like it has to be someone that has never been linked to the club, someone that hasn't been with the club, someone that's not like a Neil Lennon situation. So, how do you feel about that, guys?
I think I totally agree. I think Roy Keane would be more trouble. I think he would do more bad than good because when results are going your way, I suppose everybody's happy, but on the training ground, I think he can be quite volatile in the dressing room as well. I wouldn't agree with bringing Roy Keane in. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing Martin O'Neill back, to be honest, totally. But I wouldn't be having Roy Keane anywhere near the setup, to be honest.
Gary
But
Holt,
I think
just
it'll
know for a
probably
fact
be
it's gonna
somewhere
happen.
like
Gary
I think
Holt
it'll be
and
Wee Gordon.
Alex Neil. There's some people saying Gary Holt and Alex Neil.
No,
Alex Neil.
Gary Holt's obviously just left Livingston today. 10th, I think they're in the Premiership.
Is Alex Neil not at home? No.
I think Alex Neil's a Celtic fan. I think he's a Fenian.
Sorry, folks, you can hear the Guinness bar in the background. You got it.
But
a bit of drink out of this misery.
no, I genuinely think it will be. I just don't see the point at this stage, and it's crazy because this is the kind of. It's like a goldfish bowl over here. It really is. I mean, I was over in Dublin for when we won the league against Aberdeen, and last season, and it was crazy because it didn't feel like I thought it would have felt. Obviously, I mean, Keith went out in the last year anyway, but it just didn't feel like it. I thought it would have felt. Whereas over here, it's utopia. It suffocates you over here, because if you get a bad result at the weekend or a bad result midweek, it follows you about. There's always somebody to have a pop or have a bit of banter or whatever. So it can suffocate you over here.
Just see the comment come in there. Say Richard say Keane and Brown as assistant would be frightened. Yeah, he'd be frightened in football as well, Richard, I'm afraid.
And not in a good sense.
I've said this before, and I know people are going to laugh at this, but I don't think it's a bad show. Scott Brown, player manager.
Not just yet.
No.
Not even player manager. No,
for
absolutely
not. If Scott Brown can't get them up as captain, he's not going to get them up for it as player manager.
But do you think Neil Lennon's holding back for being the Scott Brown he usually is? There's a drift.
I don't think so.
There's a drift.
I don't think so.
Someone saying, Martinez, why would you leave Belgium to be ranked first in the world to come to Celtic? Not a fucking chance.
He was linked with it before, I think, wasn't he?
Aye, obviously, Maloney's over there doing well as well. He's his assistant manager, I think, isn't he?
Right, Stephen Robinson, my home club, Motherwell. He's grew up the Hunt several years ago in the playoffs. He has 7 youths that beat Ross County 4-0.
There's something about him that I like as well. I like his manner about. I like his attitude when he's managing a team, especially the way he is from Motherwell. Yeah,
go for it. Get him in after 10 in a row. Yes, but not now.
I think that was Ian Barraclough as well. Was it no?
I would have Barraclough. I seen Barraclough a long time ago in the League of Ireland.
I think it was. I think it was Ian Barraclough. Barraclough when the playoffs with Rangers. It was him that was in charge, I'm sure. At the time, it wasn't Stephen Robinson at the time.
I wouldn't go near Henrik Larsson because Henrik Larsson doesn't have enough pedigree for the Celtic manager's job. That's how strange it is.
He couldn't even do the job before Hasselborg, so he couldn't.
Listen, I'd be asking Henrik to pull on the boots. Never mind, sit in the dugout.
He probably could do.
I know. I probably could actually.
British is being rumoured to take the job. Look, do you think that actually Desmond and all, well, as much as they're coming out and saying to the press that they're happy with Neil, do you think they're having a couple of candidates in their heads? Do you think they're doing a few?
Absolutely not. They bypassed a big fucking table full of CVs when Rodgers walked away from the job. They let Lennon come in and just say, that's it. They didn't even look at CVs. So they're money men. That's all they are.
Aye, I think I agree with Mick. I think they thought it would be. They done it in a very kind of sneaky way, where the emotion of winning the Scottish Cup final, turning it around against Hearts, winning the treble, and they done it very sneakily. They announced him as manager right away. Everybody was obviously still in the high, whereas if they'd just given it time, I think a lot of the fans would have said, no, he's still not the right man. He's done well coming back and helping us out.
I would take Scott Brown ahead of Henrik Larsson, because think about it. Scott Brown has been there for the last 12, 13 years. He's worked under 4 or 5 managers in the club. He knows the club inside out. Larson has been there since 2004?
Aye.
2003.
2004.
2004, sorry.
2004. Dunfermline was his last competitive game, his last proper games against Sevilla. But like that's the reason why I'd go for Scott Brown more than the
You can
Larson.
say it all you want. It's not going to happen, though, Keith. It's just not going to happen. I don't think so. I think you can really stop talking about that one. To be honest, I just can't see Scott Brown being a player manager this season. So eventually, yeah, absolutely, but not right now. I don't even think he wants.
Alan Thompson
even
won't
want to
come
take that.
back because he had a riff with the club. He wouldn't be coming back.
No, I can't see it. Maybe it is something to do with Gavin Strachan coming in and Damien Duff leaving. I don't know how good Damien Duff was at the club, and things seem to be going a lot smoother than they are now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's maybe something to do with it.
There's one that has been thrown in the mix.
Di Matteo, I don't even know where he is actually.
I don't even know is he still going live or what's the crack.
Obviously,
Listen, to be honest, you can throw names all around the place as much as you want. It's just like at the end of the day, like I don't think a big name is going to be brought into the club. It's going to be a manager that we not expected. It's going to be thrown at a left field, but at the same time, we have to get rid of Lennon has to go before we can even talk about a name. So this thing at the moment is he's still the manager, and as much as you talk about names, they're not going to be thrown around until he's gone.
aye. Well,
True.
Roberto Di Matteo's last club that he managed was in 2016 in Aston Villa. So I wouldn't be jumping through hoops to get Di Matteo. Whether he's won the Champions League or no, I don't really care. As I say, just as Mick says, I think it's a bit disrespectful on Neil that we're sitting here talking about replacements when he's still the manager.
I know you might say
we weren't doing it when Brendan was in charge, and I know it was different circumstances because Rodgers was winning. But it's just
Guys, just on that though, when you're saying about disrespect and everything, like it is, I do agree with you that he's been an absolutely fantastic servant to the club. Like, his playing days, his management days, coming back in for us when we were at our lowest point after Rodgers left. But right now, the way the team is performing and him not getting motivation going, that could be overshadowing his career at Celtic, and that's what I'd be afraid of for Lennon. As much as I love the guy, I'd be very afraid what's going to happen if this gut blows up in his face.
But that's what I was talking about. Like in terms of the Goldfish Bowl scenario over here, it is really, if it, I mean, it's crazy. He's had two domestic defeats in a calendar year. And we're talking about him getting a sack. It's incredible. It really is incredible.
It's 2 wins in all competitions out of 9 with 21 goals conceded. That's the facts here. Fair enough. We only got beaten once in the league this season, but it's the way we got beaten and the way we're dropping points as well to these top tier teams. Like as I said, fair enough. Hibs are a good side, and we haven't won there since 2014 in the league.
The other crowd drew 2-all of them as well. We have to keep that in mind. The Hun drew 2-all of them as well. So we have to keep that in mind as well. So everyone forgot about that very quickly.
But it's the thing. What we needed most of last Saturday was coming back from international break. Yes, some players are tired, but it's this type of games. The club know, the players know there's catch up here to be done, and they blew it. Yeah, they might turn around and say, "Oh, we got 2 goals back," but they still blew it. Like that. Yeah. That penalty. There's 2 or 3 of them that didn't run when the rebound was done.
Aye. I Beaton and Frimpong it was, but at the end of the day, as I say, that it's just it's absolutely crazy that we're in a scenario that we're talking about. It's because if this wasn't a 10 in a row season, if this was a normal season, we probably wouldn't be talking about Lennon getting a sack. Yeah, I think it's because of panicking because it's a 10 in a row season.
It's a high importance.
Guys, I think you made a good point about it earlier on as well. Like you said, like the fans are going to get more in the case because they haven't been let into the stadiums, and we are basically a lot more virtual, and we're going to want to voice our opinion a hell of a lot more, and that's probably where it's coming from a lot as well. So you have to think about we're locked up inside. We're not able to get to the stadium, let the players know how we're feeling. It's all virtual. If this was going on in the stadiums and there was 60,000 supporters every week cheering them on, these are the performances we're getting. We'd know about it every minute of the game, like every touch of the ball they got. Like So there's probably the social media end of things is going to be a lot more visible, a lot more heard as well. So,
But I don't think. I think if there's 60,000 fans in the stadium every week, we're no dropping points like we have been doing. I
There
think
you
we're winning
go.
the games. That's the
There's a great
difference.
point by Gavin there. Gavin made a great point. Ronnie Doyle got sacked for less. The thing about Ronnie Doyle's team was we only had one good result, European standard with Ronnie, and that was against Inter Milan, the 3-3 result. Inter Milan. Ronnie got beaten because you could go back to the Chris Commons situation where he wasn't. The players lost a bit of trust in him. You know,
Aye.
lost a bit of trust in him. The Scottish Cup semi-final, he came out and said on Soy Fairy's podcast he knew that was enough for him. And I don't think it was a sake that he got sacked. It was an agreement that he was going to depart. He departed. He knew that he could get Celtic the best he could. He won the League Cup and the league the previous season, and that was the best he could get. He couldn't get any further in European standards. We got beaten by Malmo and Maribor.
Ronnie Dyler got cheated out of a treble. Let's not forget that. And a handball, the most blatant handball you will ever see in your life. And I think it was Don Robertson, who was the referee in charge, and didn't give it. And was it the boy McLean? It might have been Stephen McLean, I tell a lie. Don Robertson was behind the goals. None of them saw this handball. No, that gets given as a penalty. Celtic win the game. They're potentially going to win a treble. It might have kept Ronnie Dyler in a job, but at the end of the day, Ronnie Dyler got brought in for one reason only, to win the league for the 2 seasons it was here, and he went and he done it. So, in my opinion, you can forget about Europe, you can forget about domestic trophies. It was all about winning those league titles.
The thing about Ronnie Doyle at that time as well, like when the season that I think it was the second season that he won the league, when we didn't go top of the league for the first time of the season until after Christmas. It was a game against Aberdeen, and we won. And that was the first time we went on top of the table. So a lot of fans were a little worried about that as well. Why are we not on top of the table so close to so near after Christmas? Obviously, the Commonwealth Games were on that year as well. We had to postpone games as well. We weren't playing at home. We were playing in Murrayfield, I think it was. So, like at the same time, but we didn't get on top of the league until after Christmas. So that was a factor for Ronnie Doyle as well. Like so.
But look, at Ronnie done what he done. He got us the titles. He got us a League Cup, and I have nothing bad to say about Ronnie Doyle. As much at the time, it was some stages were frustrating, but I look back and say, right, he done what he done. That's right. O'Shea Russell, thanks very much for watching. Keith, have you seriously lost faith in him? I feel like the only way we win 10 is stick by our leader and our captain. Brownie, keep the faith. I don't stick by Neil Lennon. As I said, no, last night I said, look, we need to give him till the next Glasgow derby, but it's getting worse and worse. It's just, you can see it. Regardless if it's European or domestic, it's getting worse. And the stats says it. The table says it. The European performances say it's not getting better. And I know Gaz says we need to stick together, but we're not sticking together. We're drifting apart here. Celtic fans are drifting apart.
There's a bit of a civil war going on with Celtic fans there at the moment in terms of this. Like so, but until a resolution comes, whether he stays and we're going to be told and he gets performances going, or if he's just sacked and then we get a new manager in, it's the only way. This is going to be fucking put to bed. Like so, with all Celtic fans in my mind.
Now, Brendan said to me, Brendan this up. He said, Keith, you said it earlier this week. Tonight didn't really matter. Tonight didn't matter of getting through the group. Tonight was about putting yourself in the pitch, showing a bit of character. A majority of the squad didn't show character, and we could see the 4 goals. So tonight, from the body language of the coaching, they're not up for it. And the more this goes on, if it's the Scottish League Cup or St. John's next week, and someone said if the fans were in the stadium, would it be right? The difference is, I don't think Neil Lennon would have lasted long. I don't think we would have been. This what if maybe game. But we have to look what's in front of us right now. A change needs to be done soon, because if it doesn't be done soon, it's going to become a case that the board will have to resign, because it's getting bad. Yes, people might turn around and say, "Oh, cop on Gary, or cop on Michael. It's only November. We've 2 games in hand. We have to play them 3 times, but games are ticking." And people were saying this in October, and it still hasn't changed. We got a result against Motherwell, and we got a result against Aberdeen in the cup, and I haven't seen that much of it. As Michael said to me in the after the Motherwell game, it wasn't a result that you could boast about. It wasn't.
No.
I just think that the next 2 weeks are going to be crucial. The problem we were always going to have, especially with losing to AC Milan and Sparta Prague early on in the group stage of Europa League. The Europa League was always going to be a problem for us in trying to build a run and trying to build confidence in the team, because you're never going to, you're never going to. You could potentially get 5 or 6 games where you don't lose a game domestically, but then you go to a Europa League game, you might be away to Sparta Prague, you might be away to AC Milan, and you might not win the games, and then the confidence drops again. So it's always disappointing. Listen, this time last year we were beating Lazio in Rome, and that's the difference. Do you know what I mean? That's the levels you're at. But at the end of the day, Europe was always going to be a second thought for us, an afterthought. It's all about the domestic scene. It's all about winning the league,
Robert,
because that's your bread and butter.
Hey, I'm Canadian. I used to support Rangers, now Celtic. I had trials with Queen to Celt and others. When I was like 42, but more experienced. Lennon's a solid guy. If Lennon's a solid guy, you won't be in this mess. That's the facts.
Simple as.
Simple as that. Like there is, as I said at the start of the season, there's going to be bumps and bruises, but not a great storm.
No, I think we can look at why things have changed over the last year, because, as I say, we're playing so well last season, and obviously the fans were there last season and they'll know there this season. But at the end of the day, whether it's something to do with the backroom staff, the coaching staff, the way they're training, their diet, I don't really know what it is, because the only person that will know that is Neil Lennon.
Right, we're going to move on to Sunday. So, right, obviously, let's forget about the game tonight. It's done and dusted. We need to bounce on from it. There's going to be all the papers, going to be over social media. People are going to be crashing for the next couple of days until the next game. What did we do on Sunday? Did we bring Barkas back in?
Yeah. I think so. Absolutely. Just so with Sunday though, I don't think it's going to be very hard to kind of pick what's going to happen on Sunday, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and that's what I think. It's very hard to see Sunday until we see what happens. Like after backroom chat, with team chat, whether there's board chat, whatever, we don't know, because it's going to be a very, very long day tomorrow, with reports coming in that he's gone, that he's staying, that he's got 24 hours to save his job.
He's gonna stay. They're not gonna sack him on the way home on the plane. They're not gonna sack him. They'll do it on Saturday. They'll sack him. So I'm gonna watch that interview in a few minutes, but he can't defend himself anymore. The way he presents himself to the media is just ridiculous.
He's reading off a script in my mind. It's like the club's giving him a script to say, right, the performance was all right, the performance was this, the performance was that, and he just never has a solid answer. So I don't know. I can't really see him saving himself much more. So we just have to see what happens.
What do you think, regardless of fan wise? Like obviously we're in a pandemic. Fans are frustrated. Fans are upset. They're not getting to the stage. What do you think will happen now? What is the next stage from the fans? Is it going to be consistent?
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Is there going to be consistent protests after every game now to get him out?
Don't know. I really don't.
It's always, you listen to. I didn't listen to Neil's interview after the game last Saturday, because then I was so disheartened and so down about it that I thought it really gets to you when you lose domestically, you draw domestically, but in terms of tonight, obviously losing the game so heavily, you know what you're going to get out of Neil Lennon. It's always going to be, they're disappointed to have lost the game, thought we played well in spells, done the counter attack, this and that, and it's the same thing you get every week out of him. But at the end of the day, Sunday is massive, and in terms of he's got to go 3-5-2, he's got to go, it's got to be Ilhamid, Ayer and Ayer, Ilhamid and Julian. We've got to get Frimpong back on the right hand side. Get Elyounoussi on the left. Obviously Christie through the middle with Bruno McGregor and Griff and Eddie up front. Obviously Griff, I don't know if he'll make Sunday, because I'm hearing that he's got a groin injury. So it might need to be maybe a Yeti and Edward, but we've got to go 2 up front. We've got to go for it on Sunday.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
really spank Ross County.
We need to get more confidence boost as well. We need to score at least 5 or 6 goals in that game in my mind.
Aye, 100%.
I think that the club need to look at the way John Kennedy was tonight on that sideline. When Neil Lennon looked at him, he's just like,
Keith, if they haven't seen that by now, if they haven't seen that the last couple of weeks, they're never going to see it tonight. So I think the club just love John Kennedy. He's been given that job because of the way his career ended at Celtic. But they're giving him too much. Give him a youth job or something at this stage. He's not good enough for senior management.
Definitely not, 100%. And he went through a run, he went through a Brendan, and he still hasn't done anything this season to say, look, he's a good man, second man. Johan come in and he would tear the place apart.
Yeah.
You know, there's no better man to bring in. I'd bring Strachan in as a number 2 if you were to keep Lennon at the club. I know that sounds crazy, but I'd bring Lennon in. I'd bring Strachan in as a bit of an advisor to give Lennon a bit of a boost, you know?
Aye, because
No one's
obviously
gonna
what
give
the other way
advice
about in
on.
2008, do you know what I mean? So
One Strachan out, the other Strachan in. That's the way I look at it. I know it's crazy talk, but for the fans' perspective, I just think it's toxic at the moment. I know we're all in and we're all saying our opinions, saying Lennon should go, and there's people that's gone to a different level with this. Like, people are like, I wouldn't be surprised people are literally emailed saying awful things to the club about Neil Lennon. You know,
Guaranteed they are. You guaranteed they are.
and that's a sign of pathetic. You know, it is nervous times at the moment. There is a bit of panic. There is a bit of anxiety between us, but you don't go on to that level where you personally take it out on that person. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You could be suffering really bad, and I really think he should just resign, be a bigger man, and resign from it. But
it's not gonna.
He hasn't made any better.
It might not fix things. It might make him feel better in himself, but it might not fix things in the long term for us.
But it's not just like the Green Brigade made an example the other day with the banner. What if other people make examples with banners? What if people start protesting, which you shouldn't?
Someone did a few weeks ago.
And what is he going to say then in an interview? Say, oh well, that doesn't mean a lot to me, and he's meant to be the Celtic manager by leaving a prime example.
Look, it is the wrong way. It is the wrong way of doing things. As I said earlier on, the Green Brigade don't speak on my behalf. I do think they have a point that things have to change. They're doing it the wrong way. As guys say, we do have to come together as a club. But there are big problems that have to be addressed, and they have to be addressed very, very soon.
And I'm quite confident that a lot of people have sent emails into the club. It's the only way they're going to listen, because there's no point of protesting. Honestly, if we were in the pandemic, yes, I would be calling out tonight saying protest tomorrow, put it out there. But there's no point. People's lives are at risk. You know, it's a sport. We all love the sport. We all love Celtic. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's try move forward to Sunday. And when I say try, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. We should win it on paper. You know, even with Neil Lennon's late subs, his late decisions, it's not good enough. He decides to bring Roger John, 20 minutes to go?
Aye. And I know
Keith,
he's going to take
guys, just before you go on there, Keith, I have to
Yeah.
clock off here, man. Just because I'm going to go. Right. Look, I'll talk to you later on, lads. Thanks very much for having me on, all right?
Thanks
See
very
ya,
much.
mate.
But
See ya,
I
boys.
haven't mentioned this on the show, guys, and I'm going to get back to your point there. It's a lot of people bring this up. It's very deja vu what happened with Hibs. Players just felt that something was wrong with Hibs. It was all good, and then it just went down, went to our space with them.
Aye, I just I really don't know. He doesn't look the same kind of guy he looked last season. You know, there seems to be something, without questioning any kind of anything to do with his health, anything to do with his mentality or whatever. Because I wouldn't do that. But in terms of it did go kind of downhill at Hibs. But if you look at Alan Stubbs, it kind of went the same way as well. If you look at Alan Stubbs at Hibs, you know, it went really well. He won the Scottish Cup, and then it just kind of seemed to go downhill. So I don't think there's any rhyme or reason for it, to be honest. I expected him to get a bit of abuse for not going 2 up front tonight. Obviously, taking Edward off for was it Klimala? I think taking Edward off for Klimala with maybe 10 minutes to go. That was that was obviously listen. The game was gone.
Deputy, I know he's a phenomenal manager, but you need a reality check. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Right. So, Brendan's saying, let's talk about the cup final. Come on, it's a Celtic page. Yes, we're on the verge of doing a world record by doing a quad treble on the 20th of December, but we can't think to that far because what's going on at the moment. We're only the 26th of November. We have a lot of football to play till then. I wouldn't even think about the cup final. As Gary said the other night, every game is a cup final domestically, not Europa League. Now, with the Europa League moving forward, we just need to put our reserves out, our fringe players, to make a point. And I think they need to make a point that if they want to be in contention, they have a chance to play well in these games towards the cup final.
We've got 2 games left. Obviously, Lille at home, AC Milan away, and no easy games. And what you're not wanting is you're not wanting to put out young boys to go out and get a doing because it demoralises them as well. What you're wanting is to try and build a team that's going to you want to build up a decent run going into the games, and then try and get a favourable result. And at the worst case scenario, do not take the kind of spanking that you took tonight, and don't go out and get beat 4-5-1, because that's just doing you no good. But I thought tonight, Elyounoussi was quiet unusually because he's been so prominent for us, especially in that wing back role. So he's been playing like a striker actually. I thought Eddie showed a wee bit more what we can get out of him, and I hope he starts on Sunday, and I hope he bags a hat trick.
As I said, it was good to see Julian get a game, and it's good to see Edward scoring. They're the only positives you can take from tonight. The rest of it, shambolic defence, shambolic keeper. Bain needs to be taken out as much as at the time a month ago we were saying put Bain in against Aberdeen. We need to get Barkas in there.
I don't think when you look at the goals he's conceded, Ben, I don't think many of them you can actually attribute to blame him. I think you're looking more at the defence and you're looking at Scott Bain. He even saved the penalty on Saturday, and obviously he scored the rebound to it. But that's obviously again that's down to defence. You're expecting your defenders to do better. So
Brendan says I grew up in the bad days and we're still in a decent place.
Exactly. Listen, as I said to you the other night, whatever happens this season happens, and I don't believe that bringing in a new manager is going to miraculously mean that we win the next 25 games and win the title. I don't believe that's the case.
That's what my fear is as well. As I said,
so
bringing someone
see, to
in,
be honest, if we're not going to win, if we're not going to win 10 in a row, then we're not going to win 10 in a row. We just need to deal with it. But do you know what? We've still had the most incredible, even if you look back at the last 20 years. The last 20 years, the amount of trophies we've won, trebles, double trebles, brilliant nights in Europe, beating Barcelona. I know you can't live off memories for all your life, but if we don't win 10 in a row, we've still been on some journey. As I say, I'm still confident that we can do it, that we can turn it around. Right.
Back to this scenario again. Just as well, the pub not open these days. Terrible with the press. I think
it's pretty good. It's probably good that the pubs are only open.
I think the pub was open, Aidan. I think I'd be drinking a keg of this rate. I think you'd be putting
under the bar.
A PPE suit on at this rate with me Fairmont and Guinness farts and depressing. But, someone said there we need to take a risk if we were to bring a new boss in. Yes, we do need to take a risk. Also, some people might say, a small portion of fans that are with Gary might surround and say, we need to take a risk with Lennon and stick by him. I don't, as I said, I don't think he'll last to Christmas. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I don't think he will. I really don't think he will.
Aye. So Sunday's massive in terms of we need to go out and win 4 or 5-0. If we go out and win 1-0, 2-1, I think the vultures will be circling. That's it.
I just think we're missing James Forrest. I know we keep saying injury, like these.
Massively we're missing James Forrest.
I honestly think we still need another striker.
Yeah.
We need a centre back. I don't think we need a goalkeeper out straight, which is as much as I keep saying Fraser this. I think we need to back Barkas. We don't go out and buy a lad for 5 million. I think we need to back Barkas to be going good. And that's the risk I think we're going back that we need to take it. Like Gavin's saying, nah, James Forrest this, but look at James Forrest has come up in big European games and scored for us. Got us through to the Champions League many times. Scored in the League Cups. Scored in the not the Scottish Cup. Scored against the Huns. Like you're saying, James Forrest, nah. Like James Forrest's stats is unbelievable for Celtic in the last 10 years. Look at his stats, Gavin.
He's up there. He's up there with Bruni, in my opinion, for the last 10 years. They're the only two players that's done it. That's done the last 9 titles. But Bruni and Bruni Forrest has the stick that they've taken and almost the abuse that they've taken is quite frankly ludicrous. Forrest is a player who, when he was in the team, fans were moaning to get him out of the team, and now they're moaning to get him back in the team.
Well, why should you criticise a player that's winning trophies every season? That's my question. That's my question.
Still scoring goals and still assisting in games, and yet the fans weren't happy. They're spoiled. They're so spoiled, and they've been spoiled the last few years, especially.
The only time I caught for James Forrest's head was against the Huns. In that December game, I said, Jesus, he just hasn't been the same. And then another time I'd bring up was the Copenhagen game. But overall, you have to look at James Forrest's career, Celtic, since he came on that debut goal against Motherwell. He's been a phenomenal player.
That spotty wee teenager.
An unsung hero. An unsung hero. And he never gets linked with other clubs, but yeah, he's finishing the work he does. Like, people need to really realise we are missing him on the right wing. Yeah. Jeremy Frimpong is effective, but he can't defend. He's meant to be right back. And people are saying put him on the wing. There's no win with it. There's no win. Mikey Johnson, I personally don't rate Mikey Johnson. I just don't think he's Celtic caliber. I'd rather have Johnny Hayes back at the club than have Mikey Johnson. I don't agree with that. Do you think
obviously he's not going to play him ahead of Elyounoussi in that wing, but it might be something that we need.
They need
a new injection.
Competition. They need competition there.
That's a new injection of.
You got to think about last season, guys. We had Sinclair, Johnston, Hayes, and Mohammed in that position. There's not enough players in there fighting for the shorts. They're like default getting them positions.
Aye, it's a case of you don't know what you've got until it's gone.
Like, even look at Lewis Morgan. Lewis Morgan banging goals in MLS, like with Gonzalo. Like,
I'm so delighted to see wee Morgan doing as well as he is over there. In terms of as Major League Soccer, it's I don't watch a lot of it, but I always keep an eye out for Morgan. And from what I'm hearing, Jack Hendry, they're raving about him in Belgium. So he's obviously doing well enough over there as well. So.
I wouldn't be able to judge Forrest because Forrest only played a handful of games this season, and he's a big player for the big games.
Aye, what we need to do is we need to get to January where we've won all of our games from now to then. We get Forrest back, we get him back in the team, and then you've got the option of playing Frimpong, either at right back or you can play him. I think somewhere just enough, right?
Kieran, I think that's a bit too much. I think you're literally going up the Green Brigade's pipe there with that one, to be honest. Like, as much as you say the ambition, yes, but like you can't say the Green Brigade are always right in everything. What about the other like 50,000 fans in the stadium? Are they not right what they say as well? What about the rest of the fans that are worldwide that are actually watching the games as well? So yeah. Yes, they have done a lot of phenomenal things for the fans and the supporters since 2006, since they've been established. But there's always faults with people. They got the banner right, as I said. I agree with the banner, but I don't agree with protests.
No, especially not outside the ground. I mean, we're living in an age where everything's got to be said through social media because the fans can't get inside the ground. And as I said to you and Mick earlier on, I think it's a case of if the fans weren't locked out this season, we wouldn't have dropped as many points as we have done. So I think the fans would have rode them on. I think the players would have played better.
James McDermott is saying we're moaning. Well, James, if you feel like we're moaning, there's nothing forcing to watch this YouTube live. I appreciate your comment. I understand that you're frustrated, but this is what the podcast is here for. We're here to voice our opinion.
Aye, everybody's got an opinion, whether it's right or wrong.
4-1 tonight, so I think I have the right to moan. I think a lot of people have a right to moan. I think a lot of people have a right to moan about what this season's been so far.
Aye.
So appreciate that. Stephen, let's see what you've said. Stephen, should have got a poll to get Johan. Look, at polls don't mean shit. Polls don't mean shit. It's what you feel deep down inside, Stephen. It's what you, I think polls are pathetic. I think it's fairly childish to put a poll out there. Even in papers, there's no point putting polls out there. It's what you feel yourself. It's your opinion. That matters.
Aye, there's the thing. You know, Stephen's saying he's been useless as a defensive coach. I want Big Johan back. He's Celtic daft and has a huge passion. Is John Kennedy no Celtic daft? You know, does he not have passion for his job? Do you know what I mean? Like, I believe he's got passion for his job. I believe he's got passion for Celtic. I believe he's Celtic daft. He might not show it as much as maybe Mialby might show it, but I think it's unfair to say that John Kennedy isn't Celtic daft when he's been at the club all his life.
Yeah, well, he's been on the coaching books for 16 years. He is Celtic daft, but I just think he's lost the hunger, guys. That's the difference. You could see it on the sidelines. Like, you've seen him play many games. He's lost the hunger. I don't know if it's a falling out with Neil, and he's not happy with the way the team are motivated in the dressing rooms, that he doesn't feel. So something needs to change. And I don't think Kennedy, I don't think Neil, and I don't think Gavin Strachan are the right three to be putting that dugout at the moment. Or even for the rest of
But why not, if you're that unhappy, why not go and look for another job? Why not go and look for another coaching role somewhere?
Because I don't think John Kennedy will fit into a Premiership RK or even a Championship RK. I just think he was handed to him when his career ended at Celtic. As much as I'm being brutally honest, I don't think he'd be good enough. I just think he has it handed to him. It's like that type of person you always get in your job where they're there for like 20 odd years. I don't know, they're just there for the sake of being there. I just feel like he's gone past that level where the hunger, being self-attack, winning title upon title. And I've seen John Kennedy being such a happy man, winning the titles with Brendan and winning it with Ronnie. And I see, but you go back to that League Cup semi-final against Rangers, John Kennedy literally jumped out of hand in stands when the Chris Conn's goal went in. You know, like, Kennedy has been a phenomenal man, but at the same time, this season it's not John Kennedy. This season it's not Neil Lennon. Body language says it. You go back to Motherwell when they're walking down the stand in Motherwell, and it's like Neil Lennon's trying to have a conversation, and Kennedy's just like, you know.
I think they've got too complacent.
Could be.
As a team, I think they feel like it's maybe the God-given right to win these games, and it's not. They need to have that desire back to go and win games.
I think personally, it's right when we go back to Duffy and we go back to like you said the other day, the likes of West Ham, like a Yeti, Mohammed. I don't know, not more so Mohammed, a Yeti, Duffy. They're taking this league for granted. I think it's sacred. You say competency with Neil and John. I think that they're expecting. We can trust these players to go out and do it, but they don't have a plan B. And when it's gone wrong this season, they decide to leave changes to last minute, or they panic. They bring the three subs on. I know we can bring 5 subs on. They're bringing 3 subs on at the space of 20 minutes to go and expecting a massive comeback. It doesn't work like that because every team in Scotland wants to stop Celtic this season.
I know it's and I don't get it because I feel like whether or no Rangers are genuinely playing that well, or whether or no teams that are playing them are kind of scared to have a go at them, because nobody's really had a go at them. You know, even when they dropped points to Livingston early in the season, and you watch the highlights, Livingston never laid a glove on them, and yet scored an equaliser. I can't remember if it was 0-0 or 1 each, but they never laid a glove on them. Whereas I think that they see a weakness in us that they're exposing, and we just need to get over that. We need to get over that weakness that's there. We need to stop conceding goals. Whether we need to bring in some sort of, what do you call it, sports psychiatrist or sports therapist.
But they did though. They mentioned this at the start of the season that they had this psychiatrist that came in and discussed analysing stuff in the past and way to bring the club forward and all that. And that didn't. Where did that go?
Well, maybe it's his fault then. Maybe he's done something wrong. Maybe it's Yuri Geller they brought in. I don't know. But it's like.
I think Frank McAvenny bring them on the lash for the fucking 2 months.
As I say, I just think we need to, as Dave says there, we really need Rangers to drop, just go through the bad patch, because they had it last year in January, where unfortunately we don't have the winter break this year because they came back for the winter break and we kicked on and they fell apart. We don't have the winter break this year, unfortunately.
Do you think it looks desperate as fans that we're preying on Celtic to mess, or not Celtic, the Rangers to mess up, so we can play catch up? I don't. As I said to you guys 3 or 4 weeks ago, I'd rather see us winning momentum going into the game on the 2nd of January, and let's take the points back that we deserve to take the points back. That game in September. You need to fix them. You need to put the earphones up because it keeps clicking. You need to fix your earphones.
Aye.
So basically, we look back to September, the game in September, it was absolutely shambolic. It wasn't a case that we didn't. Yes, fair enough. We only had one attempt. Mohamed Anusi, Griff could have took around McGregor and went down.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the fashion that we played. There was no plan there. There was no plan saying, right, Celtic, as you said, complacency. Celtic weren't expecting to go down 2-0 at Celtic Park.
Yeah.
And that's why they panicked. And that's why there was no free-flow football in the second half. They were just like, literally, we're 2-0 up here in the new camp, the Champions League. We just keep at the back and just not push it forward. And that's
what was annoying, because when you look back to that day, they didn't play that well. When you look back on it, they didn't play that well. And that's the most frustrating thing about it, because if Elyounoussi takes his chance at 1-0 and makes it 1 each, it's a different game. But he doesn't, and they score their second at the start of the second half, and it's game over for then on because you're chasing the game. But as we need to get to that stage though. First, we need to get to that stage where the next 2 weeks is crucial. I think is it St Johnstone at Celtic Park next week in the league.
St Johnstone,
I'm not too sure.
St Johnstone and
Ross County on Sunday, and it might be St Johnstone then the following week at Celtic Park. So, whoever it is after that, whoever it is. But at the end of the day, we've got to win these games, and we've got to get to that stage in January where we're getting James Forrest back.
Right. Kenny, appreciate you coming on. I always watch this YouTube. Kid, I've said to you previously, I'm all the support, 61 years of age, believe I've seen the dark days, also brilliant times, but all I want is some passion. But the thing is, it runs, Kenny, as I've said this before, it runs from Lennoxtown to Celtic Park or away ground. It's about you put a contract out in front of these management, this coaching team. They come up with the philosophies, they come through what all these devices, sit down with the players during the week. They obviously study the players, study the opposition, and Neil Lennon hasn't had that in his pocket this season. As Gaz said, you go back to him, he's not the person that he was. And I don't know if it's a case that there's something going on in Celtic that's upsetting him, or it's personal. I love him to bits, but I really think after tonight, and the way he conducts himself, every single interview for the last 8 weeks, a change needs to be required. Just walk away from me, Neil. Just walk away. We're not going to hate you. Walk away from me before it's too late.
I think he might want to walk away. He might want to walk away, but at the end of the day, there'll always be a part of him thinking, "What if I can turn this around?" He'll be believing that he can still turn it around, And if he does walk away and somebody else comes in and wins the next 25 games and secures the title, he will kick himself for the rest of his life. He will kick himself for the rest of his life. Doesn't matter if he's won 5 titles in that time, he will kick himself that he wasn't the man that delivered 10.
Look, we'll all have that what if I stayed on the job longer, would I have improved? You know, we always have that thought on the job. We do a job and we think, I should have stayed there, things would have been got a bit better. But it's getting worse. You know, it's getting worse. Like, you look at Lille, that Lille game, less than a month ago, first half of football was absolutely amazing. Celtic actually turned up. You know, it's crazy, you know.
It's just there's no consistency in there yet, and once we see a bit of consistency, then I think the fans will start to calm down and relax a bit. But it's because we're missing the 2 games in hand that it's 11 points, but it's a fake 11 points. It's a fake lead they've got, and potentially if you win the games against St Mirren and Aberdeen at Celtic Park, you go 5 points behind. You still got to play them 3 times. They've still to get injuries. They've still to get, go through a bad patch. So I think we've been unlucky in the sense injuries, COVID call-offs, and all the rest of it. The Ryan Christie one was a bit of a farce, to be honest. But at the end of the day, rules are rules. It's if we played down in England, he would have played against Rangers. So that's a disappointing thing. But
there's a question for you.
I would take Gallagher and I'm not just jumping in the bandwagon. I think he has been a player that I've looked at even before he got into the Scotland team. I think definitely he's getting better and better each week. He obviously scored against us in the league last time out. It's no Stephen O'Donnell, is it? Is that right? Because I thought it was at Kilmarnock, Stephen O'Donnell.
No, O'Donnell's at Motherwell. Could be wrong.
Maybe another O'Donnell. It might be another O'Donnell, but if it's Stephen O'Donnell, I think he's at Killie. But yeah, Declan Gallagher. Probably 2 Celtic fans too. I'm not sure what team they support.
Gallagher was at the club. We let him go 10 years ago.
Aye, but it's the Andy Robertson scenario. I know obviously Gallagher's not in that kind of same league, but just in terms of players that we let go, I would definitely make a bid for him because I think he's a player that could come in, maybe had the same kind of effect as maybe somebody like Mark Wilson had. Do you know what I mean? Came in for Dundee United and done a job for us.
So, guys, Con Talk says, use your eyes. You've clearly reconciled under Neil Lennon. We have shown 0 signs of improvement in 4 months. Embarrassing the Champions League, which it was embarrassment. Embarrassing the Europa League. Embarrassing the league so far.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, listen, forget about it. Champions League is not our level, unfortunately. That's
it wasn't our level, yeah.
Be all and end all. It would have been a bonus because I think we would have ended up in Barcelona's group. But at the end of the day, aye, mega money. But at the end of the day, Europa League's our level, and we're in the group stage. And listen, that's all you can ask for. Group stage is always going to be either win or lose. And you're either going to really do well at the group. And this is a tough group we're in. Let's not. Sparta Prague's probably the worst team at the group, or should have been the worst team at the group. Obviously, we're on 6 points, so we're not that bad. But I think we've made them look better than what they actually are. I think if you look at Sparta Prague in the next couple of seasons, I think you'll see how average they are. But
as I said, as I've mentioned, I said. Basically, the Europa League shouldn't be in. I wish we weren't even in the Europa League this season. I've been saying since the start of the season, after I got beaten by Ferencváros, I was like, I'd rather us not be in it. People say, Keith, that's a bit daft. We're meant to be like Lawwell still brands us as a European team. We're not a European team. We can't even compete at the top level of our league at the moment. You might say that's fake points, fake games, but we should have been beaten Aberdeen. We should have been beaten Hibs. Hibs, yes, it's a tough one to say. We should have beaten Kilmarnock.
At the end of the day, we've got we installed the disco lights how many years ago? For the big Champions League nights, and we've not seen one of them yet. That's the stark reality. That's the stark reality.
And the reality of this is, guys, if we weren't to go on to do 10 in a row, the reality is we will have a chance of Champions League football this season, next season going in. And the reality is, as I said to you last night and the night before, it's a rebuilding process for Celtic next season, because regardless who takes over, it could be like a Gordon Strachan reign where we get this playoff round and we now have a strong team because we've cleared out our key players like Edward and Oyer and stuff. I don't even want to think that far ahead because we've a lot of work to do to even get to Christmas, to even get to the mentality and say, because I don't want to turn around and say to you on the 4th of January and say, Happy New Year, guys. We're doing a podcast. Are you optimistic going into tomorrow's game? I know you're always nervous, but I want to turn around and say to you, and I want to turn around to say to whoever's watching tonight, the 176 people, let's go there. Let's fucking smash this. Because I know we can do it. The team's there, but it's injecting that confidence. It's literally putting that whole team on a load of chairs and giving them the fucking hairdryer treatment. And tell you what, just as you say you stick by Neil Lennon, my opinion is I don't stick by Neil Lennon. Enough's enough. My stats have said it. I'll walk away. I'll let him step down, and we'll get someone in that wants to have a bit of ambition and injection of confidence into the team.
But when you look at we're talking about dark days, and we're talking about I think it was Martin O'Neill's first season, maybe his second season, and we went to Ibrox and we won 3-0, and I think it was the first time that we won at Ibrox in nearly 7 years. That's dark days. And when you look at the amount of times we have went to Ibrox and absolutely scalped them. Do you know what I mean? We went to Ibrox and I think we won 5-0 and 5-1 or something, or 5. That's the difference.
The difference between Martin O'Neill's squad to Neil Lennon's squad. Martin O'Neill's squad were more mature. They weren't winning trophies every season with Celtic, yet they won the treble the previous season. Fair enough, under Martin. But the difference is, it's a different era of football. They're not these Instagrammers, they're not these fashion bloggers, not all this crap. They're just lads that go out, collect it, and then play for the team, go back to their wives, and that's it. There wasn't the glamorous life of football. Martin bring people in
some of the guys.
Look at Didier Agat, one of the best signings Celtic has ever made, and people might laugh and say, Didier Agat. We signed Didier Agat as a striker.
50 grand.
And where did he play for us?
Out in the wing. Left back, or right back?
Well, the thing is, we were saying dark days, but we don't want this replicate this going to the dark days, because if we let this slip this season and Rangers are building momentum, there will be dark days, because they're improving every single game. So we could be in for a stage where...
I mean, they've obviously drawn tonight, and they've dropped points tonight. Obviously, they drew 2 each, but...
but they're playing a good Benfica side, and
but they were 2-0 up as well.
But I know you were saying, okay, let them, they will drop points, but I don't want to think of looking at the calendar or looking at the weekend and lights gone saying, let's look at them, let's keep notifications, let's see where they drop points. I'd rather just focus on plan A, which is Celtic, get the results and say, okay, yes, we've got the 3 or 4 wins in the bag going into the Ibrox fixture. Well, Ibrox is a long time away. We're in November.
Well, unfortunately then, because we're going to be watching out for the games a lot in the next 5 or 6 weeks, because they play first for the next 5 or 6 weeks. We are playing after them for the next 5 or 6 weeks. So they're always going to potentially go ahead even more. So we're always going to need to claw that lead back even more. So that's disappointing.
But do you think that regardless who's in charge, if it's Neil Lennon or if it's another manager, I think we need to stop looking at the table and just think about the next 90 minutes ahead of us.
100%, 100%.
As you said to me on our game before. And I think a lot of fans need to try stay off social media as much as we love social media. I'm addicted to it. It's like a drug to me. I just think we need to stop thinking about them and think about us. Because as I said last night, and Gaz mentioned this to me a few times. You look back to 2007, 2008, we were written off all that season, even though we were the champions going into that season. We got written off because them 2 games in Ibrox, we played them in the first half of the season. We were written off. And what happened?
Exactly.
I know. I turned around and say 20 years ago was a different dilemma, and now 2008, it's all a different dilemma. But we're Celtic fans. Let them have their party. Let them have their party, because you know what? It's not over till the fat lady sings, and that's my honest opinion. And my honest opinion, yes, I think change of management should happen.
Well, as I say, in my opinion, I don't see the point in sacking Lennon now. I would gear him to the end of the season, because I don't believe that or give him to a point where it's when you can't plot back. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't see the point in bringing in a new manager at this stage of the season.
Right, we're going to move on from Celtic for about 2 or 3 minutes. We go back into keep the comments going, folks. I know everybody's a bit craggy tonight. I hope a few of you are on the wine or on the gin. Are you drinking tonight, guys? No.
No. Maybe tomorrow or Saturday.
I think you need some after the last few weeks. You know, you were saying torrential the other day. I think you need a torrential round of alcohol.
Listen. I had enough with the Scotland games there last week. I was on the lash for about 3 or 4 days. So staying off it for a wee bit.
That's it. Before we go back to the Maradona, they haven't won nothing. Yeah, but there's a difference between keep the faith. The Gaz is on keep the faith band. Gaz is on the keep the faith bus. I'm not on the keep faith bus. I'm on the Lenny bus at this rate. And as much as I hate saying it, I backed him, but there's too much Stevens on the cargo. Right, let's talk about Diego Maradona. Before my time, before I got into football, people are obviously asking the big $1 million question: is he the best of all time in his era of football? Yes, but he's not the best of all time in my eyes.
No, I would agree with you in that respect.
You have your Pele in his era. You got the Maradona between the 80s up to the early 90s.
Aye, they were the Messi and Ronaldo of the older generation.
My way I look at it is, right, I don't know if you're going to agree with me. I look at like Pele 70s, Maradona 80s, Maradona until about 94, Ronaldo, from basically from 1994 up to 2002, and then you look at Zidane from 2002 2006, and that's when Messi and Ronaldo come on the stage.
Yeah,
that's the way I look at it. In my eyes, Lionel Messi is the greatest footballer of all time. People might say, "Oh well, Diego Maradona won the World Cup for Argentina in 1982 and 1986." Yes, the goal he scored against England when he took around the whole England team and scored probably the best goal ever. Unbelievable. But he was a phenomenal player for Napoli. What he done for Napoli, he went to that city of Naples. That was a probably struck part of Italy. Changed it, won them 2 Serie A's. The only 2 Serie A's they've ever won the UEFA Cup. Didn't really work well for him in Barcelona. A lot of people still respecting Barcelona. Sevilla was a disaster. Broca Juniors was a legend, and I agree with the Argentinian public for mourning him for 3 days. Completely agree.
I think when you look at obviously a lot of the English press, I don't know if you would have seen it, but a lot of the English press have taken a real battering today in terms of how they've went about reporting it.
Sky Sports News actually done quite well.
The Daily Star went with if only VAR was around in the 80s, and it was a picture of the hand of God. Peter Shilton constantly having a pop at him still. ITN News last night went with the headline, the Diego was cheat. He was a genius, but it was a cheat. And I think
Like,
that is
that's
just
disgusting.
living rent free in somebody's heads for 34 years.
That's home material. Like,
Aye, living rent free in somebody's heads for 34 years is incredible. And do you know, the only English probably person that I could honestly say came out with respect for Diego last night was Gary Lineker. I thought his, if you catch on Twitter or on social media, there's a video on BT Sports social media channels. Honestly, watch it. It's maybe about a 5-minute clip, but it's class. I genuinely thought Lineker was going to cry. I genuinely thought he was going to break down. I didn't realise how close he was to Diego Maradona, and he just told this brilliant story about him. And honestly, it just gets to you.
Keane took the death bad as well. Recording, you see all the pictures of Robbie Keane's Instagram. He took a bad. He was a phenomenal player. Like, he was literally the best of his time, and he'd be up there. He'd be probably in the top 5 footballers of all time. Like, people, like someone said Ronaldinho there. Ronaldinho was very unappreciated as a player.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, the story that Lineker told, Ronaldinho done something similar with a football at the time, and it's an incredible thing to have that much love. I mean, listen, he wasn't a saint by any stretch of the imagination, but he was one of the best footballers you've ever seen. Obviously, we've only seen clips of him, and obviously there's a film out about him. But at the end of the day, he's some of the great tributes. I think Napoli have named their stadium after him.
And potentially talking about naming the stadium, yeah.
Yeah, and Boca Juniors turned off all the lights in the stadium tonight apart from one. And it was Diego's VIP box.
River Plate, the Monte, I can't even pronounce it, their stadium. But unbelievable. Like, you got to give him the respect. He's just look at Francis. I'm not trying to be brutal here, but I'm sorry, Diego Maradona is a different level from George Best. Like, we'll all have different opinions saying Pele, Maradona, Messi, Ronaldo, these players, but the fact is we're here to talk about the man himself, Diego Maradona.
Well, that was incredible, because I didn't realise that it was George Best's anniversary yesterday, and they were roughly about the same age. I think George Best was 59 when he died. It's incredible to think they died on the same day, 15 years apart. Two geniuses.
Bestie was unbelievable. A lot of Man United fans will always say Bestie would be up there.
Aye. Again, it's only clips I've seen for George Best, but incredible player, incredible. Going back to Maradona, do you know what I mean? I can remember his first, seeing a clip, his first goal, his first ever international goal for Argentina. It was against Scotland, and he must have dribbled past 6, 7, 8 players, and there's a photo of Kenny Dalglish trying to chase him. Yeah. And Kenny Dalglish was obviously one of the best players in European football at the time, if not the world. So, it's incredible. Incredible how much he means to people. That's it.
I know Gavin's saying that they were both world-class players and they had horrible addictions. Obviously Bestie loved his alcohol. George Best had a stadium called after him. Yeah, on airport after him. Yeah, fair enough. But I don't know. I just think Maradona all day.
Oh yeah, I think
100%. Ollie, how are you getting on, Ollie? It's been a while actually since you've been on. A few days now. Carlos Alberto, what a player. France,
Beckenbauer, Cruyff was some player as well, some talent.
Yeah, but look at it's sad. It was a sad day yesterday for football, but he'll go down as probably the best number 10. But I asked the question to a few people today: do you retire the number 10 jersey from Argentina? Because Lionel is still number 10. As much as he keeps returning, come back.
I don't think Messi would bother too much if he'd done that. Chatting.
Yeah, but there was always that friction in it. There's always that like Messi always in the back of his head like Maradona's God, will never be the level of him. Well, Messi's won more honors than Diego Maradona, but he's never won a World Cup.
But this is the thing, isn't it? It's always the
Not
one
two
that's
World
going to
Cups.
it's always the one that's going to elude Lionel Messi. And I think when you look at somebody, somebody compared the two goals. I think it was the one against England and then Messi's goal for Barcelona, where I think we're playing Getafe or Alaves and he beat half the team, dribbled round the keeper,
That's
exact
one of his
same
first
goal.
goals for
Exact
Barcelona.
same goal, and it's incredible how alike they are. Obviously, Messi's that bit quicker, but it's just obviously as Lineker and the boys was saying last night that it's different eras. We're obviously talking about different eras there in terms of Messi and Ronaldo couldn't play back in their day, and you don't know if how good Maradona and Pele would be nowadays because it's just different eras, it's different
The only way
styles
you
of
find out
football.
if they do a FIFA Ultimate Team. That's,
Aye. As it's incredible because as the pundit says last night that Diego Maradona got kicked out of the World Cup that year. Do you know what I mean? Like he just got annihilated every time. He was just getting fouled and really back in that day. That was proper fouls. Do you know what I mean?
I think he's loved by the Irish and loved by the Scots because of what he done. Like obviously the hand of God, like imagine now VAR that then. But all I can say is that Celtic fans watching, I really appreciate you all watching. It's raw for me to say keep the faith because the way I look at it in my eyes is there's going to be needed change somewhere because it's either he drops the whole squad or he walks. That's the only way it's going to look at.
But listen, I mean, the next 2 weeks are crucial. I know I keep saying it, but they really are. And we need to start on Sunday and kind of put this to the back of your heads and concentrate the positives tonight and knowing the negatives, try and eradicate the negatives for Sunday and going forward. But let's talk about the positives and let's get them back to Lennoxtown tomorrow and let's try and lift everybody's spirits and lift everybody's heads and all the rest of it because it's a tough enough year without.
100%. Cafe was about to say
playing rubbish.
Carlos Puyol. There's some great centre backs in there. Ziani will be in there as well. Sergio Ramos will be up there. Some great players in the past. Desailly will be up there as well. Palomedini will be up there. Nesta, as much as we. So we could go on for days about great players. Great players. Franz Beckenbauer, 100%. Philip Lahm will be up there as well. Philly Lahm, big time. So it was weird that Philly Lahm, Maradona won the World Cup single-handedly. 100%. 1986, he won the World Cup for England. Not England, Argentina. Jesus. Against England in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. But right, folks, I'm going to leave it there. I just want to say a massive thanks to Gaz and Michael for coming on tonight. A massive thanks to you, most of all, for coming on and tuning in, watching us tonight. I know we're not everybody's cup of tea, as Neil Lennon would say, but it is what it is. We have to voice our opinions because there's no point being that keyboard warrior on Twitter that's looking to get 100 likes, 100 retweets, think they're the biggest Celtic fan in the world, and they know jack shit. We're all entitled to our opinions, and Gaz is opposite to me. He wants to think stick with a player. It's no point making the change now. We're too late into the cut. There's no point. I personally think bring someone in. If the cut gets worse, it gets worse. If we heal it, we heal it, and that's it.
Because what happens in 3 or 4 weeks if, for talking's sakes, we win the next 3 or 4 games, we get to the cup final, we beat Hearts at Hampden and win the quadruple treble. That could be a potential kickstart to the season, Jack.
Yeah, but we've been hoping for kickstart since fucking August, guys, and it hasn't kickstarted. So it's getting later and later, and the gap is getting bigger. So
listen, in my opinion, we've still got to believe that it's there. We've still got to believe the players are there. The players done it. last season. They've done it the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, but that's last season. But this is this season. This is the we didn't have
I know,
that
but they've
situation
got it in
last
them.
season.
They've
Yeah,
got
they
it in
do.
them.
100%.
We know
They
we've
have
got it in them, and we know we've got it in Lennon. It's just trying to find it again. It's
finding Lennon. Oh, Jesus, you want to fucking?
we've just misplaced it. That's all. And as I say, there's still 25 games to go. Still everything to play for. 3 times we've got to play that mob. So, I just think it's not so much keep the faith. I just think you've just got we've all got to stick together. I think we've got
I still think, personally, as much as I hate saying this, and this sounds fucking boring and bland as it is, but this is the bigger picture. We need to stop thinking of 10 in a row. We need to start winning games. And
Aye.
and then we'll think about 10 in a row credential in January when we play these fuckers.
Aye. We've got to try and treat it as no a 9 in a row season, but 10 in a row season, but
You become the Hun now, eh?
funnily enough, I'll get
You come to
I get
me
meet
on
one
my
tomorrow.
page and talk to me about Huns.
I get to meet one tomorrow. I'm going to pick up my PS5.
I hope you
Cy
have
Ferry and
PP.
Barry Ferguson.
Barry-
And
Well, congratulations on winning the PS5 on the what was the channel?
that. Go
The radio
radio.
show. Go radio. Soy Ferry,
Aye.
the king of podcast himself.
I'll try and get a couple of tickets for the boogie bus for Wembley.
The open soy.
Aye. So it should be good. I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. Try and get a few wee tickets for Ivory's show at the Hydro in June.
Mate,
I'll try and get.
Sure, I won't be surprised though. You'd be sending me Snapchats next year if you and Slaney on the rip in the middle of fucking Soho Square or something.
That would be a sight.
Fucking getting a taxi back with the glass costing you about £500. Slaney wants to go to a fucking house party. You know what he's like?
Yeah, taxi. You know me. I walk everywhere.
Yeah, fucking. I'm telling you, you need to get about 20 pairs of bleeding sketches for that trip to London. But yeah, and a positive note, I think Scotland will do it. I think Scotland will get 6 points. I think the guys are going to get smashed by England.
No, I don't care about Czechs game or the.
You don't care about the Czechs game? What about the Czechs
don't care
game
about
tonight?
Czechs. Don't care about Croatia. Go down and fuck England. That's what I like to do.
Jeez, you want some up? You want to be on some crap ground there? And
Lyndon Dykes is going to give Harry Maguire nightmares.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy talk. That is, that's crazy talk. It could happen. It could happen.
Cheeky wee free kick for Lee Griffiths again.
Yeah, that's a Lee Griffiths could even fucking get into it.
These dinosaur arms, these T-Rex arms.
No, I think it'd be Pope and goal by them for England.
Maybe who knows? But
that's it. Before we leave, keep the faith is getting bored. Results have been good enough. Yes, I agree. I completely agree, Ollie. At the time, I remember you saying on the Sparta Prague game a couple of weeks ago, I was just like, I completely understand where you came from. At the same time, I was jumping on the Lennon parade, saying, look, we need to have a bit of faith. But the longer this goes on, your opinion's going to change. It is going to change, you know. It's the same if we start winning. People are going to start changing. Say, no, he's still not the man. Or he is the man, give him a bit of time. But do you know what? We're halfway through our marathon. We have a sprained ankle. What did we do? Did we still keep walking? Or do we leave the marathon?
Well,
that's a scenario.
We'll see where we are in come the 2nd of January. See if we're in a stronger or worse position.
But that's the thing, you know. That's the scenario we're in. You got to look at the bigger picture. We're in a marathon. We've went over a couple of bumps, a couple of potholes. We've a sprained ankle now. Do we continue on through this marathon to get to marathon that we've won 9 years in a row, or do we just call it a day? A few more yards into it.
I just think we've got to pull together. We really do. We have to pull together. I might be in the minority now, especially after tonight. But I don't think there's any other option. I really don't. I don't see the point in bringing somebody else in.
We'll see. Either way, if it comes to a scenario that Lennon stays on, we'll all keep moaning. If it comes to a case that we make a change, we'll all get the morale up for a while. and might be go back to sourdough. Well, like it's happened many a times in football where fans have called for managers to come into clubs and they come in and it doesn't work out.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's
that's
such a tough season to come in. It's no normal season for anybody to come in. They've got to come in and basically win 25 games for now to the end of the season.
That's it. Well, look, as I said, I'm going to leave it there because I'm going to kind of piss in my pants, folks. It was a pleasure having you all on. Pleasure having Gaz on. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to YouTube. Appreciate everybody watching on Twitter. I haven't really proactive with you on Twitter, but it's all now here in the platform. And Facebook, the usual business, which is all. Good night, God bless. Just let's move on. That's all I can say. There's no point keep moaning about it. We've all had a moan tonight. We've all looked at your comments, and if you want to have a 24-hour moan, do it. Go into the weekend in good style. We're back on Sunday. I'll be back on Saturday night on the live. I won't be back tomorrow night. I'm going to give it a rest. I've done a good few podcasts this week, so I'll be back on Saturday night. Have a pre-match. Make Gary on if he's not busy. He'll probably be busy the weekends. He likes the boogie. Yes, sir. I can boogie.
I can boogie.
But I'll be back Saturday night anyway. We'll have an hour chat about where we approach Ross County, and let's see what happens the next couple of days. We could be in for a surprise, or we might be the same stalemate as usual.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, folks, I'm gonna ask this before I leave. I'm gonna be changing the colours of this microphone cover every couple of days. So the next one in line is pink or white. So what will we go for pink? Will we wear the pink jersey? Will we wear the pink for Saturday night for us? For the laugh.
Boys, pink to me, boys wink.
We go to pink, will we? Will we wear the pink jersey and we wear the pink, do the pink microphone on the... It's up to us. You know? Or we go for the white. It's up to you. We'll go for the white. You don't mind going for the white. For the white. We'll go for the white. Gavin says the white. We'll go for the white. We'll wear a white jersey with the white. Well, it depends.
As long as it's not the white flag out for surrendering.
Oh Jesus! Don't be worrying. I'm not going to even say that. But them two words together.
You nearly did.
There'll be no forfeit in this channel. That's the easiest way to say.
No, that's it.
Aye, grand. Right, I need to get guys to organise some glass wine brew sent over to Dublin, and I'll be back anyway for Saturday night.
No worries. Cheers, mate.
Take care. See you all soon. Great to have him on, but as I said, appreciate the comments. Great response tonight. I know we're all craggy, but it's okay. I'm going to drink the rest of my Guinness, and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care.